Okay, welcome to the quick walk around of the Royal Enfield Interceptor 650. And in this evening sunlight, look at how this cherry red fuel tank really pops in the sun. It's absolutely fantastic. But nevertheless, let's not get distracted straight away by the gorgeous colour of the tank. Let's have a look at the bike. So we've got 18-inch spoked rims, front and rear. And these are wrapped in Seat, which is an Indian brand, a subdivision of Pirelli, Seat rubber. Going back, we've got the oil cooler. This is an aspect of the bike that actually differentiates it a little bit from the BSA Goldstar. That's got a large radiator at the front for water cooling. This is a much neater design for oil and air cooling. So we've got there the 649cc parallel twin engines. This is the first time Enfield ventured into the territory of a twin. And then a large engine cover there with Royal Enfield sort of embossed into it, which looks really, really nice. There's dual exhaust pipes. So if we come back here, you can see these big silencers, one on either side. And the silencers, although the engine produces a really nice thrum, which is very, very pleasing to the ear, the silencers actually add a lot of weight to the bike. So the bike's, I think, sitting in at 217 kg. And if you take the silencers off, or even swap the silencers for aftermarket items that are a lot lighter, you can save about 10 kilos. It's also possible to do a 2-into-1 exhaust conversion on this bike, which some owners have taken to do it. Okay, so let's have a look at the seats. So we've got a typical Brit bike seat, large single seat, which looks nice on there. And then you've got the dual springs over shocks configuration at the rear. And Enfield have added this sort of gold cylinder, which is kind of taking a little bit of inspiration from perhaps Öhlins suspension to give it a more premium feel. I'm not sure I kind of like that. I think I'd prefer a more basic design without the sort of showiness. But nevertheless, it still doesn't detract too much from the overall design. Here we've got fork gaiters, which are Royal Enfield. I'm not sure if they're an additional extra, but they really set the front of the bike off, so that's really nice. And then coming round to the rider's position, I mean, look at this tank. It looks absolutely fantastic, doesn't it? But if we go to the rider's position, you've got handlebars with a little brace across, kink in the bar, comfortable to hold. You've got this plastic but quality hand controls here. Brakes are kind of basic and nothing to write home about. Same with the mirrors. And then up front you've got a very simple analog clock design with the speedo on one side and the rev counter on the other. There's no tripper navigator here or anything like that, like you get on the Meteor and the Himalayan. Just very basic dual analog clocks. So I personally quite like that. The tank, this is lovely, traditional filler cap, which should just be able to open like that. I mean, look how basic that is. That's really cool. Might be a push back on, I'll come back to that later. And then on the side of the tank, you've got these wonderful Royal Enfield badges, which look super as well. Oh, down here for braking, we've got Royal Enfield unbranded calipers. It's probably a 300mm front disc, only a single. So yeah, obviously no fairings on this bike. Maintenance very easy. You can already see the oil cooler down there. So that's really easy. Bike puts out about 47 bhp and 52 Newton meters of torque. So compare that to the BSA Goldstar, the upcoming Goldstar. The BSA is looking at 55 Newton meters of torque. So because it's a big single, it's slightly more torquey, but it's down on power at 45 bhp. So that's the question everyone will be asking, is how does this bike ride compared to the BSA when the tests on that bike finally drop? Yeah, it looks really good from the front. Overall, a fantastic looking bike. Let's find out how it rides. So what's the Interceptor like to ride? Well, this isn't the first time I've ridden the Interceptor. I've actually been on this bike back in 2020, I think. But the bike hasn't changed much since then. But I'm having more fun on it this time round. I think I appreciate the Interceptor a little bit more. Let's start with the lump. So when Royal Enfield debuted this bike in 2017, 2018, it had for the first time in the company's history shipped with a parallel twin. And this power plant puts out 47 bhp, it's about 52 newton meters of torque I think, but it doesn't lose any of the character of the single cylinder engines that Royal Enfield are known for. It makes a lovely sound. So we're just looking at standard silencers here on this bike. You've got two big standard silencers, but listen to the engine, it just sounds magical. And the other thing about the Interceptor's engine is it seems to have quite a flat torque curve, so you can just open this bike up and it'll just propel you forwards, not with visceral arm-wrenching speed, but just with an enjoyable thrust forwards into the distance. You've got all the power you'll ever need with the Interceptor for safe, sort of normal road riding around the English countryside. This is about the power level that you need, really. So the bike itself is pretty comfortable too. I mean, my arms don't have to reach too much to reach the handlebars. My knees have a slight, probably over 90-degree kink in them, but the seat's nice and low. I'm just really in comfort. I think perhaps over very long distances this bend in the knee would be problematic, and I also don't have any lower back support because we've got a typical Brit bike long single seat. So that's something I'd probably consider. But other than that, for what this bike's intended to do, which is bimbling around the English countryside, oh, I mean, listen to that. It's magical, isn't it? Let me open the visor so you can hear it. But yeah, for what this bike's intended to do, the comfort level's absolutely fine. The engine's great, I love the sound from it, and I'm happy on the bike. The mirrors, well, they are quite simple mirrors, there's nothing to write home about, but you can see out of them, vibration isn't too bad. Wow, listen to that. And the readout I get from the instrument cluster is really simple and straightforward as well. I love back to basics motorcycling, and the Interceptor has that in spades. You've got enough power that it's not anemic, and I hate to say this because it's such a popular bike, but the Meteor does struggle with power, in my opinion. The Interceptor not so. So with the Interceptor, yes, you're paying a little bit extra money compared to the singles, but you've got just enough power that you need. It's not in question, the power output. But yeah, going back to the analog display up here, lovely little twin analog clocks. I just love that. Got a pleasing amount of chrome, and everything just feels. It's just the gold standard for a modern retro, isn't it? The Interceptor 650. The controls are perfectly usable. I'd say that the rear brake is a bit spongy. The front brake's perfectly good enough. And yeah, I mean, it's not for racing and hammering around on this bike, but everything works just as it should, if you know what I mean. One thing I will say about the Interceptor, the accessories you can get for this bike are phenomenal. So you can have all sorts of custom exhausts to save weight and increase power. There's a big ball kit if you do want this bike to be any faster than it is. There's a fly screen, there's various engine guards. It's such a popular bike since its launch that you can get pretty much anything for this bike. So it's a good platform for customization is the Interceptor. So that might be something you consider as well. If you are looking for a bike to tweak, there's all sorts of scrambler varieties of this bike as well. People have customized them with knobbly tyres and so on. But the way it is just standard. I mean, you won't go wrong with just the standard feel of the Interceptor. I'm loving it. It's just a lovely bike to ride around the countryside. What's it going to set you back? Well, Interceptor standards just over £6,039. It's a little bit cheaper than the BSA, which is coming in as standard at 6,500 plus 300 quid on the road. So you're looking at 6,800 for the BSA, but 6,200 for one of the base spec Interceptors. If you want to go for the more modern colour scheme, there's Downtown Drag, and I'll show a quick picture of that. That's a little bit more expensive. And then you've also got the chrome version, which is more expensive as well. And there's also a couple of dual colour tanks as well. But for a very plain, simple look, I prefer the standard colour, and I'd probably go for red over orange. Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say about it? A parallel twin, isn't that just such a lovely engine noise? Listen to it. Oh, it does pull a little bit too as well. It's very, very enjoyable. So guys, I mean, I've already ridden the Interceptor. So if you want a full review of the bike's handling, the performance, then go and check out the full review. But for just a quick blast update, something to do on a summer's evening, you won't go far wrong with the Royal Enfield Interceptor 650. Now, the question will inevitably come, how does this compare to the BSA Goldstar? Well, the Goldstar is a single cylinder. It also is a one bike company at the moment, is BSA, whereas Royal Enfield have got an amazing array of machines. And BSA is, some would say, a little bit down on quality. If you put the Interceptor and the Goldstar side by side, the Interceptor's finish is undeniably better. So that's something to consider. If you are in the market for the BSA or the Interceptor, then definitely test ride them back to back. Quite a difference really between the sensation of riding a twin versus a big single. I've ridden a Royal Enfield single. I do like the engine noise that you get from them, but the twin isn't lacking in character. Definitely not. I mean, listen to this, and the look of it with the twin exhaust pipes. I know it adds a bit of weight to the bike, but it's absolutely stunning. It just looks, it just sets itself off. The BSA also doesn't come with a centre stand, whereas the Interceptor does. So bear that in mind. Interceptor comes with a centre stand, which is going to make oil in your chain, other maintenance easier. But, oh, look at that. Oh, wow. It's so much fun, this little bike. It's the joy of motorcycling. I love a Royal Enfield Interceptor. Oh. Alright guys, well, I'm going to finish the video there. I'm just going to get back to riding. Look at this little thing. But if you did like what we put out today, then please do consider dropping a like. And if you want to know anything else, then I invite you to write in the comments box and I'll try and answer as best I can. And if you like what we're putting out on the channel and want to follow along for more adventures, then please do consider subscribing to the channel. It'd be nice to build the channel over time. But if not, I wish you well, ride safe, and I'll catch you in the next one.